friends, it's Laura. Welcome to my channel. Today I am filming a really fun crafty Q&A for the Wild Hair Kits. Now we have a new design team starting on August 1st for the Wild Hair Kits, and we came up with this list of questions that we all wanted to ask each other, and we decided that we would each film or do a Q&A to share with you guys about crafting and how we do crafting and all of that good stuff. So I hope you will enjoy this video, and I will link the blog post down below where you can check out everybody else's videos and posts in the description of the video down below. So I've got my phone and my notebook here to answer these questions. And we have 12 questions. The first one is, what is one thing people don't know about you? And I think one thing that I've never shared before is that I love the PC game The Sims. And I have been playing it for almost 20 years. It first came out on PC in the year 2000, and I have played Sims 1, 2, and 3 for the last 20 years almost. So it's been out for 19 years. I love The Sims, and when I'm feeling too overwhelmed to get creative, like I don't have the mental capacity to design a page or get into my zone with crafting, a lot of times I will play The Sims instead, and it's kind of like mindless but fun and really cool. I love playing The Sims. So that's one fun thing that I don't think anybody here knows about me. And then question number 2 is, how did you get into crafting? I've always felt the need to create things, and I've always felt like a maker. I've always wanted to make things and make beautiful things. When I was 12 years old, I was inspired by my grandmother to hand sew a dress. So I hand sewn a dress together for myself that was made out of little triangles of fabric. And it was horrible. I wore it to school, and by the time I was going home that day, there were several seams that were coming undone. And yeah, not so great, but I loved that I made it, and it felt really good to make it. So that was the first entry into crafting that I did. But I didn't start paper crafting until later in my life. Probably, I think I was 18 when I made my first scrapbook. Yeah. And then I didn't do it again for a long time until I was like 24. And then I started scrapbooking, like really getting into it full time, doing Project Life and scrapbooking and all of that stuff. So that's how I got into it. I've just always felt drawn to make, and so I would check out different things that people were making, and if I saw something that I really wanted to try, I would try it. Question number 3 is, what is something you are excited about in the paper crafting world right now? And I am loving the bunny theme. We have bunnies in so many different paper collections throughout the last year or 2 years. I love it because we have a bunny, and I love bunnies, and if we could get all the cute little bunny icons in every single collection, that would be awesome. And then another thing that I'm really loving that is a trend right now is that purple has been making I don't want to say a comeback because I don't know if it was ever popular for scrapbooking, but in all the years that I've been scrapbooking, purple is a very rare color to come by. It's not included in a lot of collections, so I love that the last 2 years we've had a lot of purple coming back into the scene or into the scene for the first time, and a lot of pink paisley stuff. We had Auburn Lane last year. We've got some Paige Evans collections this year. Her new Truly Grateful has a lot of purple in it, so lots of purple stuff, and I love that. Question 4 is, what is your favorite tool for paper crafting? Mine is my paper trimmer. I cannot cut a straight line for the life of me, and I am very glad to have a paper trimmer. It's a very practical tool, and I think almost everybody uses it. Question 5 is, what are your favorite patterns? I am a floral girl. I love florals, and my second favorite pattern is polka dots, probably. Number 6, how many completed albums do you have? And I wrote this one down because I had to go look. I have a total of 5 completed 12 by 12 albums, 5 completed 6 by 8 albums, 1 completed 6 by 12 album, one completed 4x4 album and one completed 6x6 album. And I have a ton of albums that have been in progress. And I've been scrapbooking for 6 years now, I think. Yeah, 6. I think so. Question number 7. What is your favorite embellishment? This one's really hard to choose because there's a lot of embellishments that I love, but I think stickers are my number one because they require the least amount of effort. I don't have to use adhesive on anything. And floral stickers would be at the top of my list of favorite kind of stickers. Question number 8. What brands do you find yourself going back to? I think Crepe Paper and Maggie Holmes have consistently been my favorite brands since I started scrapbooking 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm always going back to them. I absolutely love them. And then this year, I've really gotten into Paige Evans too. And I think probably 5 or 6 years ago when I first got into scrapbooking, I was consistently using Dear Lizzie for several years. I kept going back to her. But in more recent years, I think she's had less collections and I haven't really jived with them as much because they've been very youth oriented and I don't have any kids. So Maggie Holmes and Crepe Paper though I've stuck with the entire time I've been scrapbooking, and Paige Evans is a new one that I've been incorporating the last year that I'm really enjoying. Question 9, what is your best tip for getting in the zone and being productive in crafting? So I wrote this one out because there are lots of tips. My first one is to print all your photos off beforehand. That way, the most time-consuming part is done, the most boring part is done. At least for me anyway, I do not like editing and printing photos. It takes so much of my time and energy, and it's just like a hassle. And when I actually get into the crafting and the scrapbooking part and the art part, I could play with paper for hours and not be bored. So having all my photos printed first is key for me to just keep on a roll and keep doing page after page. And then another tip that I have is to find a page or a new technique that you want to try. So if you're super inspired by something on Instagram or Pinterest or YouTube, find that inspiration, have the picture screenshotted on your phone, or have the video up on YouTube and go make something with that idea in mind. And whenever I'm trying out a new technique for the first time or a new idea, I get super motivated in my crafting. And usually trying a new technique, I'll make one page and then I'll just be in the zone and I'll make several more. Even if only the first page uses that new technique, something about trying something new just kickstarts my creativity, and I really love that. So that would be my second tip. And my third tip would be to have a designated place that you're crafting. So I usually craft on my desk, and when I used to craft on my floor or on my bed, I was a lot less productive. It was a lot harder to see everything that I was using, and I didn't have like a total hard, flat, level surface to work on every time. And I find that using my desk, which limits the amount of space that I have, it's a lot smaller than my bed or the floor, I actually can see everything that I'm using and I'm a lot more productive that way. So that would be my third tip for getting in the zone with your crafting. Question 10, who inspires you? So if we're going to talk about strictly creativity, because I think if we go outside the realm of creativity, there's just so many different areas in which I'm inspired by different people. It'd be too many people to cover. But if we're talking about scrapbooking specifically, then I've got a list of a few people on Instagram that consistently create layouts that I am inspired by and love. And those are Steffi Reed, JC Chris, Bay Valiant, Jessica Upton, and Laura of Hobby Paper. And I swear everything that they post that is scrapbooking related, I just look at it in awe. And I'm always like, that's so beautiful. How did you think to make that? That is such a cool idea, such a beautiful layout. And I love their stuff. So those are my favorite inspirational scrapbooking gals on Instagram. And then on YouTube, I have a few that I absolutely love, and they are Elsie Robinson, Seuss Fish, Kelly Perky, and Rachel Tallman. So those are probably my favorite scrapbooking YouTubers that I know of, and I've been consistently following all of them for several years now too. So they're always putting out stuff that is just really inspiring that I super love. I love their style, and they always make me feel drawn to get creative if I'm in a slump. Question 11 is there a new type of craft that you want to try but haven't yet? I don't really think so, just because I learned when I got into minimalism a few years ago that I have to limit the amount of things that I try to get into, because before I would just try every single craft that I ever thought I wanted to do, and then you end up with an overflowing craft room with supplies for 1,000 different projects, and you end up so overwhelmed that you never actually make anything. So a few years ago, I decided a few different crafting things that I would really stick with, and I actually have a video on my YouTube channel somewhere talking about all the creative projects that I do. It's from January of this year, I think, somewhere around that time frame. And I actually talk about all the projects that I do on a consistent, regular basis, and almost all of them are paper crafting related. So there aren't really any new crafts that I see where I'm like, ooh, I really want to try that, enough that I actually do try it, because I've just learned that I have limited time and energy, and I found something that I really love with paper crafting, so I stick with that. If I had to choose something that I'm super interested in trying, it's not really crafting, but it is creative, and that is graphic design. I think graphic design is really cool, and it would be really cool if I knew how to do that. And then our last question for this episode of Crafty Q&A is, what do you hope to see in the future for paper crafting? And a couple of things. I think my biggest thing is less consumerism. Right now, there is so much draw to just buy all the new things, every new collection. And if you're in any Facebook groups about crafting, there's a lot of push for the new stuff. And I mean, I get it. I'm on design teams. I love new collections too, but I feel like it's so much of a thing that people go out and they buy all these new collections before they've ever touched any of their older ones, and then they end up with craft rooms that are overwhelming and overflowing with supplies, and they don't know where to start with their scrapbooking, and it becomes a big mess and very overwhelming. And I just wish that it was focused more on using up the stuff that you have and using less supplies, as opposed to going out and doing hauls all the time and spending all this money getting new stuff every month or every 2 months, and always having every single new collection when it comes out. I think if we could just focus more on the making part and less on the buying part, that would be really beneficial to me, and I think to a lot of people that come to us for their inspiration in crafting. A lot of times if you go to a YouTube channel and all you see is that people are doing hauls, you're like, oh, I need to go out and buy all this stuff, but it's not actually helping you make new stuff. And if there were more of a focus on the actual making all the time and less on the buying, I think everybody would feel more encouraged to make and use what they have, and then they would be more intentional when they go out and buy new stuff, because they would be more aware of what kind of things they really love to use, what kinds of things they think are cute but they're not going to use, so they shouldn't buy. And they would just, get into the joy of actually making the pages more. And yeah, I love that. And then the second thing that I wish there were more of was transparency. I think in any social media realm, it's really easy to make life look like it's all butterflies and rainbows, and it's really easy to put on this perfection, especially on Instagram. All your photos look perfect, and it's really easy to put out an image that is not reflective of real life, and it can make people compare a lot instead of feel community. And I think if we were all more intentional about what we shared, and sharing some of the less than perfect parts in life, like the hard times you go through or your makeup-free phases, there would be a lot less comparison and a lot more community, where people felt like, oh, that's a real person that I could actually be best friends with, and I feel really good when I consume their content on social media. I don't feel bad about myself or like I'm behind or any of that kind of stuff. So I wish that there were a little bit more transparency in the less than perfect things in life and the less than perfect images of us. So yeah, that's the other thing that I would really like to see more of in the world, in the crafty world, and in the digital world in general. So in honor of that, I am makeup free today and sharing with you what I look like in my pajamas. And I hope you have enjoyed this crafty Q&A with the Wild Hair Kits design team. If you have any crafty questions for me or any questions in general, leave me a comment down below and let me know. I would love to film more of these for you guys if you have any questions for me. And I am so excited. August is my first month ever of having a Patreon channel. Go over there, sign up. I'm doing a really awesome monthly challenge to help you get creative. I am sharing my favorite exclusive tutorial videos and scrapbooking videos over there. I've got free digital downloads every month and so much goodness headed your way. So check out my Patreon down below. I will link that. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will still be creating a couple of free videos every month over on YouTube. And check out the Wild Hair Kits blog post down below if you want to see all the other design team members and their answers to this crafty Q&A. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!